Nothing like a little technical error, is there? So this is the first ever Villa View question and answer session where we're just going to get a few questions in. I'm going to try my best to answer what you really want to know. What you want to know about the club and everything else that is going on at the moment with Aston Villa Football Club. So we're going to get started. We've had a few questions on Twitter, which is where we're going to start. Make sure you are commenting below with any questions you've got that you want me to answer. We're going to start on Twitter with a few questions that we've had in. So we're going to start with one question that's first come in from, I believe it is Tom Johnson, who said if you could sign 3 more players realistically this summer, who would they be? Now, that question is such an open and broad one that I could pick numerous players. For me, I've got to be looking at the likes of Narky Wells from Huddersfield. I think that he's a brilliant out-and-out striker. I think he scored 18, 17 goals last season. He's someone that's quite young as well, quite talented on the ball, and someone that's got it all. Someone that can create chances for us and do a lot on the ball, and someone that will be an out-and-out player for us who can really push a real effort for us. On top of that, other players I'd be looking at. I'd be looking at a right-back. I know I've had the question about Alan Hutton a bit later on where somebody said about Alan Hutton. For me, Alan Hutton isn't good enough. I know a few people will curse me for saying that, but I think we really should try and get rid of him. He's going to be on a big wage at the moment of the club, and I think that we do need to sort of cut the wage bill if we are going to do anything next season. So I think a right-back, I don't know who exactly. Cyrus Christie's a good shout, I think, from Derby. Someone I know Derby might not want to sell him, but I think we've got the clout to be able to sign somebody like that quite easily from a side like Derby. I know it sounds a bit big-headed to say, oh, we can sign anyone in the Championship, but I really think we can. We're a bigger side than anyone in that league. So we're quite capable of signing someone from a rival from promotion. On top of that as well, third signing, I'd look at another striker or a creative outlet. I'd be looking at the likes of Fernando Forestieri, a man that can play in the hole behind an out striker or a holding striker. He's got 14 goals last season, 6 assists. He's got it all. Hope that's answered your question, Tom. I think that's a really good player that I think we should be definitely looking at this summer. Somebody said if I had to name a squad now, Sam, you said name your starting 11 for Sheffield Wednesday away with the players we have now. I think that's a baffling question because we don't know what we're going to have in the opening game of the season, and it's quite clear now. I don't know if anyone else has seen it this evening, but we haven't accepted. Marseille have activated a release clause in Idrissa Gueye contract, so looks like he will be going to Marseille for £7.1 million. Leaves a bit of a gap in midfield, but I think that's why we bought Aaron Tishibola. As it comes for the actual lineup, where I'd start right now, I think it's got to be in goal, Galini. Across that back four, I would write this down. Right back, I think it's got to be Micah Richards at the moment. I think he's the talented player. Last season, he lacked confidence under the managers we had, and I do think there's a good player there. You can't rule out that he has got a lot of quality and someone that will be good for us. In the centre, it's got to be, for me, it's got to be Nathan Baker and Tommy Elphick. Elphick captain in the side. Left back, Jordan Amavi, without a question or a doubt. In the middle of the park, it's got to be Tishibola, alongside Gary Gardner for me. Those two in the middle of midfield, I think, can work really well together. Then over the left-hand side, I'd go with a 4-4-2 style system, by the way. So 4-4-1-1 would be for me. I'd go with Ruud Gizstedt up front, with Jack Grealish sitting behind him or Jordan Ayew, depending on who stays. Obviously, you said currently, so yes, Jordan Ayew in that hole. Then left wing and right wing, I'd be looking at Carlos Heel at the moment and Jack Grealish on the opposite side. Got the likes of Andre Green as well, though, that is waiting in the depths, waiting for his chance. And I really think that he could be brilliant for us next season. Even if we bring him on as just a substitute, I think that he can be a real asset for us. So either of those on the wings, I think we've got some real assets there for us on those wings and something that can really create something for us, because we are going to need a lot of creativity next season, and we have got creativity amongst the ranks. We've just got to utilise that the best I can. So Tony Nelson has said, Ashley Westwood, yes or no? Alan Hutton, yes or no? Ali Sissoko, yes or no? That's a tough one as well, because I love Ashley Westwood. I know a lot of you guys do not like Ashley Westwood one bit. I know a lot of you say he's a bit of a negative player and something that's not actually quite good. But I really rated what he does. I know he does the simple stuff. I know people say he should be doing the simple stuff anyway. But you need a simple person that can link the defence to the attackers. And I think Ashley Westwood does that quite well. In the same vein, though, if we're rumoured to be targeting about £8 million for him, I'd take £8 million in a heartbeat. I'd take £6 million from him in a heartbeat. I'm only saying keep him in the sense that he's not as bad as everyone else. And last season, he gave a lot of heart and desire for us. And I think that alone warrants a chance in the Championship for him. Alan Hutton, same for him, gave a lot of heart and desire last season. Is he quite good enough? It might be hard to shift him on the wages on, but if we can get rid of him, yes, get rid of him. Ali Sissoko as well. I think he's going to be way down the depths of the squad right now. Got the likes of Joe Bennett, who's emerging again, looking very good in pre-season, it seems to be. and Jordan Amartey. I think that Ali Sissoko will be a man that's leaving this summer. A lot of people have suggested he's going off to Besiktas in Turkey. Lots of clubs that would be interested in him because he's quite cheap and he can be quite reliable as well. He's an average player, an average one that does his jobs well at times, and I think he'd be very important. Brian Smith, you've said that, would you keep both the Carloses? I assume in the sense you mean Carlos Gil and Carlos Sanchez. Carlos Gil, I said towards the back end of last season that Carlos Gil wouldn't be able to cut it in the Championship, but the more I've looked at it, the more inspired I think that he can be in the Championship. I think he could be quite good for us. If you look at him as a player, I think he's very strong as well. And I think on the ball, he's very good, but he's got to get his head up sometimes. And I think with the right management, he could be very good for us. As for Carlos Sanchez, he's going to be on a big whack of money, a lot of money, I think. And if we can get rid of him, I think we will do. I think that a club in the lower leagues, at the lower end of the La Liga, will definitely purchase him. Somebody like that will be definitely someone that will be leaving this summer, afraid to say. If you love him or loathe him, that is the case. So now we're going to move on to a few more of your questions from YouTube. I hope you're enjoying this. If you are enjoying this, please drop us a like below. I'm just going to have a quick drink because this is actually quite tiring. Right. Teveridge UK. Pick 3 players we should get rid of to make room for new players. Right. So this is where I'm looking at a number of players to sort of shift. For me, it's got to be Brad Guzan as number 1. The reason behind that is at the moment we've got 4 keepers. 4 keepers that are all very keen to be playing and in goal. Mark Bunn has had a taste of first-team football. Imagine he wants first-team football. Jed Steer did a fantastic job for Huddersfield last season. You only have to ask their fans how much they rate him. I think he might be looking for a move this summer. And then finally, with that as well, I think you've got to look at Scott Sinclair. I think he's going to leave this summer. He'll free up a lot of space on the wage bill. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of fans know my opinion on him, but for me, it's got to be Gabby Bonglaw that's got to go. Well, a lot of money, and I think he has caused a bit of trouble in the past. I don't know what's happening now with him. He might be having a good pre-season. I don't know. But for me, I think if we can free up the wage bill for something like that, that will allow us to buy somebody like Jonathan Kodjia or Nahki Wells, who will provide us a lot more than what Gabby's, I'm afraid, offered us in the past few years. So somebody said, Jack Bradbury said, how many players do we need to bring in? I don't know. I haven't seen them obviously in pre-season yet. Nobody's seen them in pre-season. But I'd say realistically 3 or 4 men. Now, ideally, 2 of them are going to be strikers, one of them creative outlet as well. So we're looking at a cam and maybe 2 strikers. Defensively as well, maybe a right back, I don't know. Depends if Micah Richards stays. If Micah Richards stays, no, we don't need a right back. If Jordan Marvey stays, I don't think we need left back either way. I think we've got the options there, and defensively, we need to look at focusing on trimming this side. A lot of these players are good enough to play in the Championship. They are just severely lacking confidence. They may say they don't. May say that they don't care. They might not care last season, but this season's a totally different ball game, and I think a lot of those have got a big point to prove if they had to actually carry on in their career, because a lot of these players are players that have been with us for a fair amount of time now, or relatively new to us in the same sense as Jordan Verity. Lots of points to be proven by a lot of them being labelled flops, a lot of points for those to be proven. So Teveridge UK has said as well that, what do you think about Marseille triggering a Sagana Gueye's 7.1 million clause? I think that it's a good deal for us in the same vein. I think that 7.1 million, we can't argue. We always knew that he was our best player this season. He rated top for interceptions in the league, bar N'Golo Kante. So to me, to get £7.1 million, put it back in the transfer kitty, very important, especially when we signed a like-for-like replacement in Aaron Tishibola. You've also said about a link for Jonathan Kodjia. It's actually been said tonight by Pat Murphy, the BBC, that there's actually been no contact about a bid for him. I must point that out. No contact about a bid, but there is a certain amount of interest. He's a one-season wonder right now, and I haven't seen any attributes to suggest that it's going to be one season off, where he's done loads and then this season he's done nothing. But in the same vein, the likes of Nahki Wells have scored goals consistently for a few years now. So if we're going to be spending £8 to £6 million, I'll be looking at Nahki Wells over Jonathan Kodjia, just for the simple reason that Nahki Wells has scored goals consistently for a few years now, and Jonathan Kodjia has only done it in one season. So this is quite a long question. It's from Callum Cox, who said, this might be a long one, but hold out with it. So I've only started watching Villa properly these last 2 seasons, and I've heard that Randy Lerner's name thrown around a lot. What has he done wrong? He bought the club in 2006-2008 period, and our last good season was in 2011 or something, where we came 6th. He reigned for a long time, so what's happened between then and now? Callum, that is an incredibly long question to answer. I can't put into words what's happened, but if I wanted to sum it up simply, he's asset stripped the club and he's tried to get out of there too quickly. He's panicked and it's all gone badly wrong. That's all I can say. I think he had the best interest of the club at heart, but in the end, he's ended up making a real big mess of it, and it's left us to where we are now. That's the best I can do for that, Callum, because that is quite a long question. I'll be quite happily answer that in full if you do DM the Villaview _ on Twitter. I can answer that a bit more in detail if you really want to know any more. But all I can say, it's quite painful. Who should be captain next season by the Rydog? I like the name, Rydog. I like that a lot. So, yeah, captain Tommy Elphick all day long. Born leader. You've seen it already in the interviews. He's been solid. Every sort of interview he's gone into has been, we're not meant to be in this division. We're going to get back to where we belong. And that really fills me with optimism. I know that it's all PR spill potentially, but I really have got confidence in me, especially when you speak to Bournemouth fans as well, and you hear the likes of Eddie Howe saying that this man is one of the best people he's ever managed. Fair enough, Eddie Howe's not managed that many people, but it says a lot about somebody's character when so many fans love him. And I think that you may say, oh, he didn't play much in the Premier League last season, but people forget he was injured. And he's a born leader. He carried Bournemouth from League One to the Premier League and where they are now. Don't underestimate how important an experienced head is. He's only 28, 27, is he? So very young as well for a centre-back. Plenty of years ahead of him, and he could be really with us for a long time. He's got light years ahead of him. Greaves AVFC has said, don't want to see Grealish played as a winger or number 10. That's an interesting one because I think that Jack Grealish has promised a lot on both on the left wing, right wing, or as a centre attacking midfielder. For me, if Jordan Ayew stays, the position of a centre attacking midfielder would belong to somebody like, I don't quite know yet, Jordan Ayew maybe sit in that role and have two further strikers forwards. If we do look at the likes of Kodja, maybe him and Gusted and then Ayew in the cam role. So that would leave Grealish on the wing potentially. But if Ayew does go, I'll definitely go with Grealish in that sitting role as a number 10 sort of role. I know we can say Carlos Hill maybe be able to go there as well, but I think Grealish as well, though, he's quite capable with both feet. So we've got to put him in that role, make sure he's dictating play from that position. He'll bring us goals next season. He's proven it in the lower leagues before. And I think it's really his season to shine. I think he really will do a fantastic job for us next season in that position. I hope that's sort of cleared up where I think he'd be able to play Greaves. So somebody said that, do you think we need to shift the likes of Lescott, Bacuna and Gabby out of the club? It's a hard one to say because in simple terms, who's going to want to pay money for these? The answer is not many sides. But in the same vein, they've got some potential there still for us. I think there's a lot of experience there as well. Gabby, I think that a lot of fans are giving up with him now, and I think that's the bottom line of it. I think that so many fans have given up with him that it's impossible for him to turn around now and come back fighting for us. A lot of fans want that, but in reality, that's not going to happen. I can't see him staying this summer. Same for Julian Lescott. Everyone knows he is actually a Villa fan. There's no anything you can say about it. He's 100% a Villa fan, like you say for Gabby. So for me, I can see him only going to the MLS right now. He's old, getting old now. He's got that sort of age now where he isn't quite with it as much. And I think the MLS is possibly the only move for him. And I'd like to see him go just for the simple reason of wages. I'd love him to see him come back and do something for us. But if we can get a little bit for him, maybe £500,000, that's £500,000 we didn't have before. As for Landro Bacuna, his attitude last season absolutely stank. And he's gone home with an injury. I noticed a few people on Twitter have said that it's interesting to see that Leandro Bacuna has been sent home with a slight injury. Jordan Marvi's also got a slight injury still at the moment. Why is Jordan Marvi out with the squad in Austria and Leandro Bacuna has been sent home? It sends a lot of question marks over his future. I know that. I don't want to spur anything on, but that suggests to me that something's not quite right. A little bit more deeper into that. I don't know if I'm just being a conspiracy theorist and saying a little bit more to it, but I do think there's something a little bit more to that. Jamie Plays asked an interesting question. It has to do with the following weekend coming. First, if you didn't know, Villa are playing two friendlies on the same day. We're sending two teams. We're going to be playing at Worcester and Telford. As I understand it, from what I've actually heard, we're going to be playing a stronger team over in Worcester than we are in Telford. I don't quite know that, but that's from what I've heard from people in Worcester that have said that Roberto Di Matteo has promised to send a stronger side down to Worcester than he will at Telford. But I imagine he'll split it. I'd imagine he'll send the 11 that played in the first half to one, and then the 11 played in the other half to the other one. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I can see that being the way it's going to go. Only can say that is just because they're going to need a full 90 minutes soon, and that's the best way I can see that happen is by giving them a full 90 minutes, as such, 90 minutes or so. by sending half that played against GAC on Saturday to Worcester and half to Telford. Whether that's the case, I don't know. So don't bank on me and you're going to Worcester just because you think there's going to be better players. I'll try and find out a little bit more for you if you can't already find out a little bit more. This is quite a generic question from Pella, who said, who will do best next season, Villa, Norwich or Newcastle? For me, it's going to be Newcastle. I've got to admit it. I'm going to be honest about that. Newcastle are light years ahead of us where we are right now. I mean, that can all change this summer. A lot of things can happen this summer still. But I think what they've done already, they've got rid of old players like Papi Cisse. They've done incredibly well to get a £5 million fee for him. They've got rid of the likes of Fabrizio Colacini. They're getting rid of players quite easily as well. Getting rid of players easily, and they're signing in some top quality players to keep the likes of Townsend, to bring in the likes of Dwight Gale, to bring in the likes of Matt Ritchie, proven players. Dwight Gale hasn't quite hit the high notes though that he should have, so I think that's a big gamble for them. But I say that it's a gamble, but they've got the likes of Jose Perez, who's equally as good as Jordan Ayew. I think Newcastle are light years ahead of anyone, and with Rafael Benitez as well, I can only see them punching well above the 100 points mark this season and through that glass roof. As for Norwich, they've got a championship-based squad already. They're going to be very good, very experienced. Alex Neil knows how to get them that division, and they're going to be a real worry for us. Norwich are going to be up there as well. There's going to be lots of sides up there. There's going to be 10 or so teams. Leeds have bought well this summer as well already. Sheffield Wednesday are obviously going to be up there. Derby County are always going to be up there as well. Cardiff City are going to be up there as well. QPR are spending well again. They're going to be up there again. So many teams. There's 18 teams in the Championship this season that have been in the Premier League. 18 teams. That says a lot about how tough it's going to be. There's rumours about Wolves as well, with somebody Lee, can't remember his first name, buying the club. Big Chinese businessman, one of the top 5 businessmen in China right now. Lots of money. If he comes in, there's going to be real worries for a lot of fans across the Championship what he plans to do. He also owns AC Milan, so there's lots of links there potentially. But I think realistically, Newcastle are the best out of Villa, Newcastle and Norwich. But I think Villa and Norwich are going to be quite equal throughout the season for the simple reason is that we're buying some decent players and we've got a decent squad already, I think. And I think the same for Norwich as well. Okay, then. So Corey and Elphick sounds good to me with Baker and Clark as backup. Do you also think so, Ben? Ben Myatt saying that. I think that Kieran Clark's going to leave. I can see the links. There's links everywhere for it about Kieran Clark going to the likes of West Brom. And I can see him joining the centre-back revolution at Tony Pulis' side. He plays 4 centre-backs every week. And I think that Kieran Clark may well join them as well. As for Nathan Baker, that's an interesting one. I know that Lee Johnson at Bristol City spoke about the idea of getting him back at Bristol. I'd like to see him stay, though. I think he's very good. And he's actually had a full season of football in the past year. He hasn't had that before because of injuries and sort of intermittent play times in the squad due to injuries and whatever, and other players being ahead of him. But I think it's time for him to step up to the mark now. And to me, yeah, Elphick and Okray does sound good to me. I also think Baker and Elphick as well, as I've mentioned previously before. Hi, Swansea. Callum Cox again. What are your thoughts on Stan Petrov saying? Fantastic. Training, sorry. I think it's fantastic. And I've jumped ahead of myself there a bit, actually. I think that he should be saying. I think that having Stilian Petrov at the club is a fantastic influence. Even if we have him on a pay-as-you-play contract, there we go. I think there'll be a brilliant influence in that dressing room. He's got an old head to him. He knows what he's doing. He's still got a big heart and desire for the game. Any man that's done what he has done is a huge inspiration. He's a world inspiration for so many people worldwide. To not have him in that squad and to let him go, I think, would be a huge shame. And to invite him back and then not to give him a contract as well, it's a big shame again. Even if we bring him on for 10 minutes at the end of games, I think he's a brilliant player to have around. Even if we're playing 5 minutes every month, I think he's a brilliant player to have in the room. I think we're better with him than without him. So let's get him in there. Let's keep him. And let's see how he does, because there's still a few years left in him. And he's still got everything going for him as well. Hilly said, what are your thoughts on Adama Traore? Will he stay? If yes, how much do you think he'll play next season? That's an interesting one, Adama Traore. I think he's a really interesting one. Barcelona sold him to us for £7 million, and we don't really know how much money he's on. There's rumours about £65,000 a week. If that is the case, we've got to be getting rid of him, because that's a ridiculous amount of money for somebody that's not actually shown that much. And he's actually spent so much time on the treatment table, I can't remember, apart from the Sunderland game when he played any football for it. I think I actually named the games he's featured in. Crystal Palace, Notts County, Sunderland. Can't actually think of how many more games he's actually featured in more than 5 minutes or 2 minutes. So I think Adama Traore will leave because somebody will come in from back in La Liga, I think. And I think that with the wages on, Villa will look to shift him. And from comments he's made in the press, it seems that he is looking to leave as well. He said about how God's going to make that decision for him. I don't know how much that means, in fact. But I think if God is saying that, then I don't know what that means, genuinely. I don't have a clue. But I don't know. For him, Adama Traore's got a lot of developing to do. He's still a very raw player. At the age of 20, he should be doing a lot more, but he's not doing that at the moment. He's been sitting around mulling around. He hasn't done much for us. He spent more time on the treatment table, as I've said. I don't think it'd be a huge loss if we lose him. But if we do keep him, we need to use him. We need to make sure and we need to nurture him. But keeping him, bigger question than that, Hilly. I don't think we're going to have to keep him. For the simple reason that somebody's going to see enough for him to offer us 5-7 million for him, to take him off our hands. Even that Barcelona could come back for him, though, because they've got a buyback clause, it's rumoured. I can't see them buying him back, though. So maybe Villa may loan him out, I don't know. But I think that, yes, I think somebody's just said that he might tear up the Championship. He might tear up the Championship, but we need team players. And Adama is not a team player right now. He's going for glory on his own. Maybe that's got his no faith in the rest of the team. But I don't know what Roberto Di Matteo is going to do to him this summer. He might give him a bit of confidence boost, make sure he's playing as a team. But for me, we've got players that can already do what he does, but with the rest of the added package as well. The likes of Carlos Hill can play in a team. Don't think Adama Traore can. I know he's saying he can tear up the Championship, but what's the proof of that? He's done it twice when he's played. But at 65 grand a week, is he really worth 5 games a season if he's constantly injured? I don't think he is. I really don't think he is. There's a lot of development for him to do, and we can only see how that goes. I know that's tough to write him off now, but that's however you want to look at it, maybe. Vita George has said, can Villa make a cup run? Simply, no. I don't want a cup run. I'd rather us go out in the first round of the cup. I know that seems a bit daft to say, but I'd rather just focus on the league and get out of this league. I don't care about the cups this season. I'll care about the cups when we're back in the Premier League and we're at a mid-table position. I don't care about cups right now. I couldn't care less. I think that we need to focus on getting out of the Championship first, and then we can focus on looking at cup runs in a few years' time. For now, though, it's not the time to be looking at cup runs. It's time to focus on winning the league or getting as high up of that league as possible. We've got our best chance of getting back to the Premier League as soon as possible. It's Jay has said, would you take a point against Sheffield Wednesday right now? Right now, I'd take a point easily. I think that, don't get me wrong, we should be winning games from the start. We need to be hitting off like that. But Sheffield Wednesday lost 2 games at home last season. They lost 2 games at home. To me, that suggests a very strong side. They're investing well again this summer. So to me, we've got to be looking at maybe containing them the best we can and hitting them on the break. If we can hit them on the break, there's every chance we can take 3 points like we did at Bournemouth the opening game last season. I don't think it's essential to win the first game, but I think it's essential that we don't lose it. So to me, I'd take a point 100% right now. I'd take 100% in the opening game of the season if we have got lots of squad changes still then, though. As always, keep your questions coming in on Twitter at @TheVillaView_, and also making sure that you do go to us on our social media channels as well, to follow us as well on Instagram and everything else, and dropping your comments below now on this video with everything you've got to say. So somebody said now that, do you think there's any chance of being relegated again by Spy Techers? Well, no. I don't think there's any chance. I think that I can't see it happening. Tony Shee inspires me a lot, and I can't see him letting that happen to us. I can't see us dropping back down again, and I do not think that that will happen. Just because Tony Shee's got a lot of optimism, and he'll make the changes if need be if Roberto Di Matteo isn't proven to be the man we need. Got a few more questions coming in. Oh, there's one in Russian here. I can't quite understand it. I'm going to Google Translate this because I want to be able to answer every question possible. It's in Russian. Give me 1 second. I'm going to Google Translate that. He's bought a new kit as well. Let me know if you've bought a new kit. What do you think of the new kit? I've bought a claret and blue one, but it's a bit purple. I haven't got it with me at the moment. But it's a bit. Do you think it's purple, or do you think it's actually claret and blue? Let us know. Let me know as well in the comments. What do you think of the new shirts? Because some people are saying it's not claret and blue. I think it is. And I think it's a very good shirt. Let me know what kits you've bought, just out of interest. What do you make of them? So yeah. Question in Russian is spam. We'll ignore that one. That's non-existent. Vita George said again, what formation do you think we'll play? Formation-wise, again, from the sounds of it, it seems like Roberto Di Matteo is set up with a 4-1-3-1-2 formation. I believe that's right. Against Gak. That means nothing, though. But for me, I'd go with a 4-4-1-1. because we need to have a strong back line. We need to have the players sitting deep as well. To me, you've got to be having a diamond sort of shape for that midfield in the Championship. And then we need a strong man up front like Rudy Gestede, with somebody playing off him like Jordan Ayew. I think that's the best way to play in the Championship. Or if we go two up front as a solid front two, as in a straight, flat 4-4-2, that could work as well quite well. We've seen quite effectively in the past few years the likes of Watford got up with a 4-4-2 formation, the likes of Middlesbrough got up with a 4-4-2 formation, and the likes of Leicester have all got up with a 4-4-2 formation. Not many sides play the 4-4-2 system as a traditional style now, but it's proven that it still works because it caused defenders nightmares because nobody's prepared to be playing with a 4-4-2 system at the moment because nobody simply does it anymore. Teveridge said, do you think that we'll give a lot of the young players a chance? Lorenzo Di Matteo said himself today that we're going to be giving the youth players a lot of chance. I'd like to see it happen. But in the same vein, you have to remember we want to get out of the Championship as simple as possible. We don't want to be throwing players in very quickly because it could all backfire heavily. The likes of Andre Green will break through into the first team. The likes of Kevin Toner have already broken into the first team as such. And I think we'll see a few more sort of creeping in, but not too many. Don't want too many of those coming in straight away because that can cause an imbalance between the experience and the youngsters. Youngsters play with no fear, yes, but we need a few experienced heads in there as well. And I don't think we can be too reliant on young players. The likes of Russian Hepburn Murphy is 17 at the moment. He's only 17 years old. That's nothing at the moment. So to have as a player that's 17, he's already made a first team appearance and says a lot about his potential. Got to bleed him through very slowly. We don't want to be overdoing him too quickly because it won't help too well. So I'm going to go over back to Twitter. So a few more questions that have come in. This one has come in from, let's have a look. Got a fair few actually come through now. They've all sort of jumped at once. That's quite scary. Will we keep Richard Wilson? The answer is wait and see. I don't know. His interview is very mixed. Got a lot of mixed feelings there. But if he's banging in goals, I'd love to keep him. I think that it'll really show a strength of character if Tony Shea managed to keep him. Ben, Ryan, you've asked about if you were a Di Matteo, who would you want to get rid of? So for me, yeah, we've already said that. You may be able to scroll back and see what I've said before. So Oliver has said, what three players do you think would be key to us getting promoted this season coming? For me, it's going to be Tishibala. I know it's a lot of pressure to say. He's 30 appearances already in the league. That's it. But for me, he's got a lot of potential and apparently dictates games. Reading went from second in the league to 16th in the league when Tishibala was injured. To me, that says a lot. I know it might be a coincidence, but for me, that says a lot about what he actually is and that he might actually be really important for us. Same vein, I think Tommy Elphick's going to be very important as well. Tommy Elphick's obviously got a lot of experience in playing in the Championship, going to be very important for us as a leader on and off the pitch. So him as well. And then again, Rudy Gestede. I know that's sort of like a bit random to say based on last season, but the season before he's got 20 goals in the Championship. You don't lose that sort of touch. He'll score 20 goals if we get the right players on the end of the crosses for him, to put those crosses in for him. If we get the crosses in, he'll score a hatful next season. Because Championship defenders cannot deal with somebody with a lot of height as well. My brother said, do you think Wolves will be a big challenge? No way. Wolves aren't going to be a challenge to us at the moment. They haven't invested much money yet, but we'll see how that takeover goes, as I mentioned before. Scripted Ghost. What sort of name's that? Thomas Ragg, even. So you've said, do you think we'll beat Blues, aka the Scum? Of course. Why reason why we were not? Of course we're going to beat Blues. No way we're going to lose to Blues this season. Roberto Di Matteo's managed in the Midlands before. He lives in Leamington. He understands the proximity of how important it is to beat our local rivals, and I think he's going to be very important in relaying that to the fans as well. Not to the fans, to the players, sorry. Losing my mind a bit there. Somebody's asked for a prediction on both derby games. I think we'll win both of them about 2-0 each, easily. Somebody said, do you think we'll have a target man or someone with a bit more technical skill, Elliot Milner? For me, we've got to go with both. I think, I've said it before, but a 4-4-2, you have somebody like Gestede, who's the big target man, and you have a player that's got a lot of skills to him, a lot of ability to him, like the likes of Jordan Ayew, Jack Grealish, Carlos Hill, all these players that can be creative and let the likes of Rudy said does what he does best, and that's score goals from positions in the air where nobody can actually cope with him and deal with him. Lewis Murphy said, do you think Will Richards, Lescott and Abong will stay? I've mentioned that one, as I say before, but I'll just quickly add to that. I think that Richards, yes, he'll probably stay, but if a club from the Premier League comes in, he'll leave. Lescott's going to be a tough one to get rid of, and so is Gabby. But if we can get rid of them, then I'm quite happy to see them go. The simple reason that it's wages off the bill. Sam Clark has mentioned a bit more about Gabby. I've talked about Gabby a bit before, not Gabby, about Grealish. He said that will he be an important player? Will he be an impact player? For me, he's going to be a huge part. He's 20 years old now. I said it on Twitter earlier today, but I think it's make or break season for him. I think that if he gets on a good start, he'll be onto something good this season. He's at the correct age to be developing a lot, and he's at the correct division to be able to do it as well, under the correct stewardship to make sure he's on the straight and narrow and being a brilliant player for us in the upcoming season. Just answer a few more questions. I'm going to go to 8 o'clock. So you get your questions, and you've got 9 minutes or so now. You can comment on the YouTube video to do your question as well, or you can tweet us as well at the VillaView_. So Lewis has said, can you give us a transfer date? The simple reason is I'm not an ITK. I'm never going to pretend to be an ITK. I do know a few people, I'll be honest, but I'm never going to actually say anything because I'll keep that to myself. That's my own business. But for me, Jonathan Codger, there's been a lot of rumours, there's been lots of ITK rumours about him. All I can say right now is there's been no official bid. That's come from Pat Murphy from the BBC, who I trust highly on Villa News. If you want to find good Villa News, that's solid Villa News, that's correct and on point, you need to go to Pat Murphy, BBC. He's very good with the Villa News, and he's the only man you should be trusting, along with the Birmingham Mail and Greg Evans and Matt Kendrick. These are the sort of people you should be trusting because those are the people who have got the contact and do know what's going on at the club. And Tishibola, we obviously know he's signed, Lewis. Any other players, I don't know. I haven't seen any more rumours. Obviously, we've had Idrissa Gueye coming in today saying that, we've had Idrissa Gueye. The activation clause been activated. He'll be leaving, it looks to be. So that's the only other transfer news I know of at the moment. If you do know any more, let me know because it's hard to spot different transfer rumours because there's so many going around the rumour, man. It's tough to pick out which ones are the real ones and which ones are fake. I think the main importance is right now, though, as Roberto Di Matteo said, is getting rid of players the best we can. Jacinda said, hi, you said that pick your best attacking midfielder and your best defensive midfielder. Tishibola, for me, I think will be our best defensive midfielder. I know it's tough to pin your hopes on him, but I think they'd be very good for us. In the same vein, Gary Gardner, I don't quite know where his best position is across that midfield yet, but I think he could be quite good as a box-to-box midfielder, playing in the defensive midfield role. Also in the same vein, playing in the attacking role and also doing the tracking back as well. I think Gary Gardner could be very good for us. Jordan Veretout as well, though. He's got a lot to him, and I think he could be very good for us. But as attacking midfielders go, I'm going to class Carlos Heel as an attacking midfielder. I said he's very good for us. But Jordan Veretout, big season for him. If he can cut it for us, we've got a really good player on our hands there. Elliot Milner said, will there be transfer funds be enough? Rumours have, I don't quite know. I've lost how much have we actually got available. Is it 50 million, less than that, 35 million? I don't quite know. Whatever amount it is, I think there's plenty for us to spend. Newcastle are spending ridiculous amounts of money, but that's simply because they can. We can, but at the moment we've got too many players to be able to do that. We've got to shift a few players, and then we can look to be getting in new, fresh blood. Vital said again, what is your opinion on Birmingham City fans celebrating Villa going down? But they haven't been up in the Barclays Premier League for, it's not the Barclays Premier League anymore, it's the Premier League, English Premier League. But for 6 years, I couldn't care less. I'd be celebrating if they got relegated. We take the expense of each other. And I think that there's a lot of banter, obviously. So I don't mind. I haven't got an issue with Birmingham City fans celebrating the fact we're relegated. We've all been there. And we just happen to experience it once in the past 20 years. And Blues have experienced it numerous times. Do you think that Galini will be number one? That question's come in from Lewis Walker. Galini, I think, yeah, he will be number one. Brad Guzan's going to be leaving, I think, this summer. I think that's definite. As for Mark Bunn, I think he wants first team football. Whether he gets it is another question. Be tough to get rid of him as well, I think. Just want to point out on that note, I saw a few rumours flying around saying Leeds are in for Mark Bunn. I can tell you for now, he's not. Leeds aren't in for Mark Bunn at all at the moment. As for Jedzia, he obviously wants first team football now. He's had a season playing in the Championship constantly. So keeping hold of him will be a real challenge for us. But we can't let him go to one of our rivals. So maybe we might have to suck up and expect to be benched, basically, because I think Galini will be our number one for the following season coming in. Oliver said, do you think we need to steal players from the other championship sides, or do we need to look abroad? That's tough, because players from abroad, we don't quite know how they're going to turn out. We've seen in the past season that players like Jordan Verret who haven't quite settled very quickly. We need players that are going to be hitting the ground running straight away. That's why, for me, I'd be looking to pinch the best players from the championship sides. I know it's a cheap get out to do, but I think it's the best strategy. Interesting question here from 723 OJ. He said, "Are there any other Villa players on Snapchat?" If you haven't already got his Snapchat, but Tishy-Bola's Snapchat is actually a piece of art. Remember, he's got one Jose Corre where apparently Jose Corre hasn't trained since Tishy-Bola's arrived at the club. And it's quite a funny clip. So go and add him on Snapchat, Tishy-Bola. I'll put the link in the description somewhere to his Snapchat. At the moment, I don't know if any other players are on Snapchat. If you can help me out with that one, drop us a comment below or tweet us in the VillaView_. Lewis, you said again, Jonathan Codger. I've said it numerous times. There's actually no solid... there's interest, but there's no bid at all. That's what Pat Murphy said from the BBC, and I trust him highly. So I'm going to go along with that lines at the moment. Got a few more minutes left. Got 4 minutes. I'm going to keep going to the last few questions rolling. Jake, you've said, where do you think we'll finish in the next season? That's really a tough one because at the moment, I don't know. We haven't seen these players. Ask me that after we've played Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough's a huge test for us. If we can put in a good performance against Middlesbrough, I think that we will be pushing for top 4, top 3. But if we put an average performance against Middlesbrough, I'm not too worried yet. We've got to see how the season starts. But for me, top 6, I'll be happy with top 6. Anything below top 10, I'd be hugely disappointed. I think the key, though, is to get out the Championships. A top 6 priority for me. If we don't get top 6, there's going to be serious questions about where we're going to be. Somebody said, can any team be stupid enough to take Egghead Butterfingers off our hands? As in USA's #1 goalkeeper, Brad Guzan. Yes, 100%. I think he's a good keeper, but he lacks a lot of confidence. But for me, he's not going to be a Villa player next season for the simple reason the fact wages are combined with everything else. Few more. Last few questions now. Got one here saying, we picked up 2 clean sheets and 4 points in 4 games that Mick Richards played at right back last season. That's an impressive stat. I like that one. I like that stat a lot. That's a tough one, to be fair, because he's a player that I don't know what's up with him, because when he was at Manchester City, he was quite good. But is he actually going to be a player that does it for us? It's in the balance for me. I think that he is going to be good. Whether he actually cuts it, though, is a different question mark for me. I think that he can be something good for us. Playing him right back, yes. But if we can get another right back in, I'd quite happily see Mick Richards leave, just for the simple reason he's on a lot of wages. And our wage bill is astronomical at the moment. And I know that we can deal with it now under talk to Tony Shee, but there's no ring with cutting the purse strings as much as possible. My throat's tiring now. I've been doing this for half an hour solid. If you are enjoying this, make sure you do drop us a like below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because there's lots of exciting things going on now at the moment with the club. We're going to be bringing new exciting things as well. So make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Follow us on our social media channels at the VillaView_. You can go and follow me personally at Matt Lynch with a double Y in my name as well on Twitter. So you can find out all the Villa news from the Villa View and everything we're up to as well over the summer because we've lots of exciting things hopefully coming your way as well. So yeah, I think we're out of questions now. I think lots of questions have been answered, hopefully. Hopefully I've covered a lot of areas for people. People have got a lot of questions, obviously. If I have missed your question, I forgive you. But I've answered a fair few questions from you guys. Lots of interesting views I've seen here across here. So I'm hopeful we're going to do a few more of these. If you do enjoy them, we also get Dan Bardell on them as well, because I know you love a bit of him. If you haven't gone and checked out our tea brew videos, you can do, which are brilliant videos, which involve me and Dan making cups of tea while telling you about our new signings. They're always enjoyable to go and watch. I think they've had a brilliant reaction. On that note, if any of you were asking about my kitchen, thank you for all the compliments about my kitchen. I've passed them on to my mother. She liked those comments about the kitchen. She appreciated it. Joe Shaw has said that Villa are expletive. We're not. Forget that. No, I think you're joking with that. I don't think we are as bad as people make out. Last season was awful, but I think that the promising season ahead is going to be important. Final question, a very important one for me as well, is what plans do the Villa View have for the new season ahead? A bit of an exclusive for you now, but as some of you may not know, but I'm currently in university in Nottingham, which makes going to every Villa game quite tough at times. I don't have a season ticket for that reason because it just simply wouldn't be cost effective for me to do that. But we're still going to be doing fan cams every game with Dan Bardell as well as me, and hopefully a few other new guys we're going to hopefully get in to do a few more fan cams so you can all get your views. If you don't already know, we stand outside the Holt pub after the game, just opposite that. You can come and find us after the games. We're going to be still doing discussion shows. We're going to bring some new features as well. Doing a few more stale go features across. We're going to be looking at collaborating as well. We're going to be looking at big accounts that we can also collaborate with to make our videos much better. We'll bring you new, fresh faces. So I'm sure you don't always want to see my face or Dan Bardell's face on the screen constantly. I know it's not very attractive to see either our faces all the time, is it? Okay, I think I've answered everybody's questions that you've got for me this evening. Oh, 45 minutes now. Yeah, I'm quite happy. If you're happy with the way this has gone, just let me know. I do appreciate the comments. It gives me something to read. Makes me smile. Yep, that's it. That's all the questions that I've had from you guys. As always, if you have enjoyed the video, make sure you're dropping us a like below in the video. Also, comment what you think about the questions I've answered. Do you disagree with my opinion? Let me know. Go over to our social media channels, the VillaView_, and subscribe to our channel. Get those post notifications on so you can see our videos before anyone else does. Get those first like comments in. Lots of competitions potentially upcoming as well in the upcoming season. So there's plenty going on. So make sure you join us for the ride. That is the championship. But that is all for the VillaView today.